Hi, and welcome back to my channel. I have been so distracted trying to start this video. It is very easy for me to get distracted. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be a short one, but in keeping with my holiday movie theme, I'm going to be talking about what is considered now a holiday classic, which would be Love Actually. Um, so, it's set in London. About 5 weeks before Christmas. So it's like a countdown. It starts 5 weeks before Christmas and leads up to Christmas Eve. And it follows the lives of like several different couples, most of them romantic, and most of the characters are kind of like interconnected with each other in some way. Now, this is a rom-com. And for a long time, it was like one of my favorite rom-coms. And it still is like a really fun Christmas movie. However, in recent years, I've seen people critique the romantic relationships in the movie, and I would have to agree with some of those critiques, especially like the main romantic relationships do kind of come off as problematic in terms of like a power imbalance in terms of like age gap and things of that nature. So, instead of talking about the romantic relationships, I'm going to talk about my favorite non-romantic relationships in the movie, because there's like a lot, like, 'cause remember, like I said, all the characters are like interconnected in some way, and there's like a lot of really fun non-romantic pairings and relationships and the interactions that they have. So the first one, which is like my absolute favorite, is one storyline follows a like old pop star, rock star trying to like make a comeback named Billy Mack, and then his manager Joe. And so like the whole entire movie, he's out here pushing his single that he's released for Christmas, and his manager's this like long suffering trying to like help him not make these like blunders or whatever. And it's like the whole entire movie, you don't think that he really appreciates his manager, but then in the end he is successful. His song is number one, and he goes to like this party like at Elton John's house, but then he leaves and he comes to see his manager, and he tells his manager, I've realized that you're the actual like person that I've spent my entire life with. You're the love of my life, platonically, but just like they've spent their entire lives together, and it's just been this beautiful partnership, and he does love his manager. And I just love that moment because platonic soulmates, in my opinion, is a thing, and it's just wonderful because the whole movie, like I said, you kind of see the manager being kind of like pushed to the side just for him to come to the realization that that's been his most meaningful relationship. So that's a real fun storyline. The next one is the character, Emma Thompson's character, whose name is Karen, and Liam Neeson's character, whose name is Daniel, and he has just lost his wife, and their kids go to school together, and it's interesting because I'm not sure if it's ever established if they were like couple friends, like her and her husband, him and his wife, or how they know each other, but you can really tell that she is like his support in this moment after having lost his wife. And I just love that dynamic, because in that dynamic, it's just like, yeah, men and women can be friends. And especially when you think of like the backdrop of, spoiler alert, which I don't know anybody who doesn't know this at this point, but her husband is played by Alan Rickman, and he does have an affair in the movie. And so it's interesting to see this contrast of how he keeps crossing the line and being inappropriate to the point of having an affair, versus her having a completely healthy relationship with someone of the opposite gender. And just how important that is, because it's like, no, they're just friends, and she's being there for him in his time of grieving. And it's just fun to watch them interact and actually be good friends to each other. And then, speaking of Daniel, so again, his wife has just passed, but he has a stepson. And the thing that I love about their relationship is you don't know like how long he's been in his stepson Samuel's life, but I would say it's probably been a while, because like his stepson, I think, is like supposed to be like 10. But it's like, obviously he's now his sole caregiver. And he's really struggling, because it's like, I'm the stepdad, and I love him, but it's just like, what do I do? Because, he's lost his, mother, and like, what is my purpose here? And so, he's struggling, and he thinks that like something deeper is going on with his stepson because Samuel seems sad all the time. But we find out this because Samuel's in love and has like this massive crush on this girl in his class. And so then their storyline is like him helping Samuel tell the girl how he feels. And it's just such a beautiful thing because over the course of their storyline, by the end of the movie, he starts calling Daniel dad, because the whole time he's called him Daniel because that's his stepdad. But you see that at the end that, he's calling him dad. And that's just, like I said, it's just a fun storyline because, step parents are important. And I come from a blended family. And so I love that storyline. And then the last relationship, non-romantic, which is like a real funny one to me, is the characters of Colin and Tony. So basically they're set up where Colin thinks that if he goes to America, he's going to get a girlfriend because he can't get a girlfriend in Britain. And he thinks that it's because British girls are stuck up. But if he goes to America, they're going to love him because he's British. And he's going to get a girlfriend instantly. And his friend Tony is like, you're ridiculous. But the thing that I love about their relationship is it's like that typical ride or die relationship where even if your friend is like bonkers and cuckoo, you still stand beside them. And that's like my favorite part about Tony. Is like the whole time he's like, this is the most idiotic thing you've ever come up with. But he still sees him off at the airport. And then he's there waiting for him when he comes back from America. So they're just one of my favorite storylines too. Because again, it's that, wonky type of thing of you just have those friends where whatever crazy thing they come up with is like, hey, that's my friend, I'm gonna stick beside them. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I knew this was gonna be short, but those are like my favorite like non-romantic storylines in Love Actually. Like I said, it's still, a fun movie to watch at Christmas time. Very funny. But yeah, so that's my brief little review of Love Actually.